It's Thursday, September 22nd, 2022. Markets just closed a little while ago. Markets across the board down. Not a very good day. We did not see a bounce today, but we'll talk a little bit more about that in a couple minutes. I did want to bring something up, and I see people struggling day to day. And the video I shot with my good friend Matt yesterday, he brought up a point yesterday when we were out that people look defeated, they look frustrated, they look angry, and they should be. You know, when you look at what people pay in taxes and this new tax that we have called inflation, how do people get ahead? And when you look at what you're paying in income tax, and what are you really getting when you pay income tax? Well, you know, we give the system money so it can go around the world and start wars, so it can pay off college tuition debt for people who made financial obligations and didn't stick to those obligations, and now we have to pay for that. So our taxes continue to go up, and it's just really appalling and disgusting when you think about what you pay in taxes. And then how about sales tax? Everything has a tax to it. And it's going to be very, very difficult for people to save money, for people to pay off debt, for people to get ahead. But think about what you're getting when you pay your income tax. And I just look at sales tax in my area. It seems like it goes up every year. And we've had another record-breaking year of taxation, and yet we're not paying down any debt in this country because this country cannot stop spending money. So the answer is keep taxing the working class, the middle class, and keep spending more while the Fed raises rates. Very, very dangerous. But comment down below, how is inflation right now affecting you? Is it? Maybe it's not. Maybe you're making more money than ever and it's not affecting you whatsoever. But for the people out there who it is affecting, please comment down below. Share with us how it is affecting your day-to-day life. Really, really be curious to hear your story. The Fed yesterday raised the Fed's fund rate 75 basis points. I think that we have to understand that the Fed is not trying to avoid a recession. I think the Fed is deliberately creating a recession. They're going to deliberately cause higher unemployment, deliberately destroy this economy. And I don't think we're going to avoid a recession, let alone a depression. Too many people believe the Fed is here to save them, that the Fed would never let the markets crumble. And the Fed is going to destroy the economy, and in doing so, it is going to destroy the housing market. It is going to destroy the stock market, the bond market. And right now, with that 75 basis point hike we got yesterday, we still have a Fed funds rate of negative 5%. We saw gold up yesterday, gold up today. I think at some point people are going to begin to realize that the Fed is losing its fight against inflation. And at some point, maybe the Fed does get more aggressive. But the longer they wait, the more wear and tear, the more destruction of this economy. It would just be better to start raising rates at 1%, 1.5%, just pull the Band-Aid off this thing and let's get it over with. But I do believe that inflation is much higher than they're telling us. I believe it's at least twice the CPI number. And I think we're going to run into a problem here where the Fed continues to raise rates and it has no effect on inflation or very little. The dollar getting stronger at the same time. So we're seeing the dollar go up. We're seeing gold and silver going up at the same time. Very odd. This is a question that I think is very important. How are weak nations across the globe going to pay back their debt to the U.S. with this strengthening dollar? How are they going to import goods with the strengthening dollar? How do they buy food and import food products from around the world when they're using dollars and these dollars are getting so strong? This is going to be another problem. And let's not forget, servicing the U.S. federal debt is going up literally every day now with these rate hikes. So we got big trouble, ladies and gentlemen, really, really big trouble. But as I said, stocks across the board down. We did not get a rebound today, no bounce today. And even more disturbing, I think we better pay close attention to the 10-year bond yield, a little bit over 3.7% as I make this video. And this means we're going to see the cost to borrow money, especially mortgage money. You want to buy a home. Those mortgage rates are based off the 10-year. And right now we're approaching about 6.5% on a 30-year fixed rate. FedEx hikes package rates, details cost cutting as demand weakens globally. This is another giant economic indicator, a temperature check of what's happening in the U.S. economy. Federal Express ground and home delivery will increase on average 6.9%, so nearly 7%. That's a big increase. I was watching some of the news today. August egg prices are up 40% year over year. Groceries up 13% year over year. Get this, eggs are $3.11 on average right now compared to $1.70 a year ago. How is the average household keeping up with this? I have no idea. People with kids, families, I don't know how they're doing it. I really, really don't. Again, we go back to what I believe how they're doing it is credit cards, more debt. Here's another article from The Hedge. Americans drowning in long-term credit card debt. Credit card balances increased by $46 billion from last year. So how are they affording the higher grocery prices, the 40% increase in egg prices? Credit cards. Inflation and rising interest rates, ladies and gentlemen, are such a dangerous combination, and it is going to strangle households across America without a doubt. I don't know how people can continue to do this. Something is going to break, ladies and gentlemen. I think things have already been breaking. We're just not being told about it. But you see it, I see it. We know people who are struggling. We see people struggling. I see the defeatist attitude on people's faces. When we were coming back down I-10 yesterday through the Banning Morongo area, I could not believe how many people are living in RVs and campers off of Interstate 10, miles into the desert. You could, every time I go down I-10, I go out that way, I'll see a handful of RVs and campers. Yesterday, there were piles of them, groups of them now, little encampments of RVs and campers out in the middle of nowhere off Interstate 10. 5 over here, 10 over here, 2 here, 1 there. I'm noticing that the number of people living in these type of vehicles is increasing every month. Mortgage rates reach highest since August 7th. This is on Fox Business Today. We're nearing 6.5%. Something is going to have to give in the real estate market. Will it be the buyers or will it be the sellers? No doubt it will be the sellers having to lower prices in order for those buyers to be able to afford these homes, or there is going to be no sale of these homes. It is always the sellers that have to cut prices. Buyers are going to win here, ladies and gentlemen. Here's one from The Hedge. Inflation costing average American family $11,500 this year. Americans will have to fork out an extra $11,500 to maintain their standard of living that they had back in 2020. In 2020, American households spent $61.3 thousand on average. This included their housing, food, entertainment, clothing, transportation, and everything else. In 2022, that number stands to reach $72,900, so nearly $73,000. Remember, rising interest rates means the cost to service debt, service those credit cards, the cost to go buy a car, all going up. So the standard of living that you have right now is going to cost more to maintain. And many people are going to fall out of that standard of living, out of that middle class very, very soon. And many already have, and many are going broke just using debt to maintain their standard of living. 4 reasons why dollar dominance won't be permanent. This on the Hedge today. And just to note in this article, the BRICS nations make up 41% of the global population, 24% of global GDP, and 16% of global trade. And we are doing everything in our power to force nations out of the dollar and into other types of systems, because we have abused our dominance with the world reserve currency. While it's the world reserve currency, its share of global central bank currency reserves has been shrinking for many years. In 2000, global banks held 70% of their reserves in US dollars. Today, that number is 59% and shrinking. Now, I believe when it hits 50, we're going to see enormous trouble here in America. And if you think your standard of living is slipping right now, if the US dollar comes under threat or under serious competition, it is lights out for the typical American standard of living in America. As we see US reserves shrinking across the globe, we're watching the standard of living in America shrink along with it. Politicians have abused the dollar status, financing a welfare state. And a good example of that is just, paying people $10,000, $20,000 for the debt obligation they had with their college tuition. We're on the hook for that $10,000 or $20,000. And so this to me is a welfare state. And when you're using dollars and abusing your dollar for the welfare state, you're going to have trouble, big trouble. How about starting wars across the world, building military bases all over the world, and financing this with the US dollar, printing trillions of US dollars? And how about sanctions? We use the US dollar. We've put sanctions on countries. And so we've weaponized the US dollar. And this, in return, has forced countries into looking at other systems. We use the SWIFT system. Well, now other countries are now using the SIP system. So we have really abused our power of the US dollar. We could have done so much good. But the dollar is no doubt on borrowed time. Doesn't mean that tomorrow, next month, or next year it's over. I have no idea. It could happen next week. I have no idea. But we do know it's heading in that direction, and this is why we really have to be prepared. Don't keep all of your wealth in dollars. Don't keep all your wealth in paper. And another article I want to share, and this will be the last one, and please comment down below on anything you want to talk about. U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve drops to lowest level in over 30 years. Now, we know they use this as a tool to push the inflation number down. Now, what happens when we have to replenish these reserves? We're going to see inflation explode. Now, I think we've used about 40% of these strategic petroleum reserves. Now, these reserves are for emergency use, not to be used to push the CPI down. These reserves are used for emergency, for wartime, and we've depleted around 40% of these reserves right now. What happens now if we have a conflict with somebody? We see what's happening in Ukraine right now. We see what's about to happen in Taiwan. We probably have more enemies across the globe than we have ever had in our lifetime. And we are depleting our petroleum reserves in order to push CPI down. Now, to replenish these reserves, it's going to be a fortune. And this is going to cause inflation to explode if and when they ever do replenish these reserves. What if they just don't replenish them? What if we go from 40% to 80%, 80% to 90%? What if we go and just use all of it? What happens? This is so idiotic, so dangerous. And this is not a political issue. This is just an issue of our security, our safety, our economy. And I just think it's extremely dangerous for this country to be using these reserves at this point to push down the inflation numbers, to push down the CPI. Comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on that. But in closing, ladies and gentlemen, markets across the board down today. There was no bounce. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Are things going to get better anytime soon? Is the Fed going to come to the rescue? I don't see it happening. It's not going to happen this year. I don't even see it happening next year. But this is why I think it's a very important time to be holding some gold, because if the Fed does reverse course, if they cannot get a grip on inflation, if they reverse course, you're going to see inflation go absolutely bananas. You better have some gold at that point, because your dollars are going to be toast. The only thing that will be worth anything is going to be gold and silver. And the question is, are you able to get to it? Don't buy paper gold and silver, ladies and gentlemen. You need to own physical gold, physical silver. Make sure you have all essential preparations in order. Get your house in order right now, ladies and gentlemen. We saw markets absolutely decimated yesterday. And to me, the stock market is on life support. The economy on life support, and it is flatlining right now. This economy, I've never seen in my lifetime, this economy so dead. And I think that most people watching this video would agree to that. And I don't think there's ever been a time where we've seen the economy this bad, period. In the entire history of the United States of America, has the economy ever been this bad? We have an economy of consumption. We are not making things. We are not producing things. We are not motivating people. It's just something is wrong. Something is completely wrong. I woke up this morning and it just seems I'm in this new world right now. Something's wrong. Something's off. Things are not working correctly. The system is so broken, so much debt. The deficits continue to get bigger. I don't know if this can be fixed. I really don't. I don't know if we're past the point of no return. We are so deep in debt. The country is so divided. And look, the only thing we can do now is worry about ourselves and our families, do the best that we can. Life is going to go on. I don't think it's the end of the world. Who knows? We're looking at this nuclear power plant in Eastern Europe now. I believe one of the cooling systems was hit by a missile and went down. I mean, globally, geopolitically, we've never seen times so dangerous as now. So as I leave you today, walk close to God, pray for God for protection and guidance, and really start critically thinking for yourself. Look, we cannot fix what's happening in other countries. We can't fix the system, but maybe we can fix our own lives a little bit, getting in better physical, mental, spiritual, and financial shape, and being aware of what's happening. Being a zombie is just going to guarantee that you get wiped out. So critically think, do what you can right now, get your preparations in order, stay safe. I look forward to speaking with all of you very, very soon. Please give this video a like, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you hit the bell notification. God bless.